Ever been laughed at by someone who thought they were better than you? Well, my PE teacher did that to me for years. He called me weak, useless, the kid who couldn't keep up. But one day I made him puke his guts out in front of the whole class. And I didn't even have to raise my voice. If you've ever been underestimated, if anyone's ever made you feel small for something you couldn't control, then you're gonna love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying revenge moments you'll ever hear. This story happened more than a decade ago, but some memories never fade, especially the ones that start in humiliation and end in triumph. I grew up that kid who always got picked last. Not because I didn't try, but because my body just wasn't built like everyone else's. When I was born, doctors discovered a congenital heart defect. Surgery fixed it, but it came with a lifetime of warnings. Take it slow, avoid overexertion. So while my classmates were joining football clubs and showing off their push-ups, I was the kid who had to sit down every 10 minutes to catch my breath. I was small, skinny, the quiet one in a sea of loud teenage energy. And in high school, weakness is blood in the water. Our PE teacher, Coach Miller, he was the embodiment of every jock stereotype rolled into one man. Mid-40s, shaved head, booming voice, and an ego the size of the football field. He wasn't evil, but he loved dominance. He thrived on it. And anyone who didn't fit his idea of strong, fair game. He'd blow his whistle and yell, "Let's go, ladies, even the math club moves faster than you." He'd laugh at our expense, slapping the back of his favorite football players while mocking the nerds or lazy ones. I can still hear the whistle echoing through the gym, sharp, cold, humiliating. I tried to shrug it off. But the worst part wasn't the words. It was how the class joined in. Every laugh chipped a little piece off my self-worth. Until one day he pushed someone too far. My friend Ben, bigger kid, kind soul, not athletic. Coach ordered him to jump from a trampoline over a stool. Everyone knew it was dangerous. Ben hesitated, said quietly, "Coach, I don't think I can..." And Coach barked, "You think or you know, just do it, big guy." Ben jumped. He didn't clear it. He hit the stool, fell hard, and cracked his head. The gym went silent. Coach's face turned pale for half a second. Then he laughed awkwardly and said, "Well, that's why we train, right?" That was it for me. Something inside me hardened. I didn't say anything out loud, but in my head I thought, one day you'll learn what real exhaustion feels like. I wasn't athletic by his standards, but I still loved movement. Not the noisy chaos of gym class, the rhythm of endurance, the solitude of persistence. When I discovered cycling, it was like finding a piece of myself I didn't know was missing. Long roads, steady climbs, the hum of tires on pavement, it was peace. For once, my body wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was something to master, and that mountain near my house became my silent teacher. 12.5 kilometers of uphill grind, steady 6 to 7% gradient, unpredictable, rhythmic, almost meditative. I knew every curve, every tree shadow, every false summit. Weekends, I'd climb it again and again. No one knew. Not my classmates, not Coach Miller. Then came sports day. The school rented buses to take us to the top of a mountain for a group hike. It was supposed to be a team-building adventure. Coach Miller stood in front of the class and said with that smug grin, "Anyone who's brave enough can ride up there with me on bikes, but fair warning, I'm not babysitting slowpokes." Everyone laughed. He looked straight at me when he said it, and maybe he thought it would scare me off. But that was the moment I decided, this is it. This is the hill where I get my respect back. "I'll ride," I said. The room went silent for a second. Then someone snorted, "Yeah, right." Coach raised his eyebrows. "You sure about that, champ?" I nodded, completely sure. The night before the ride, I treated it like the Tour de France. Checked my bike, oiled the chain, packed electrolyte gels and a small bottle of water. I even did a warm-up spin around the neighborhood. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. The next morning, I showed up in my cycling kit. Lightweight jersey, gloves, helmet. I looked nothing like the awkward kid from gym class. Coach Miller showed up in old basketball shorts, a cotton tee, and a heavy mountain bike. The overconfidence on his face was almost poetic. The first 10 kilometers were flat. Coach took off fast, legs pumping like pistons, clearly trying to set the tone. I stayed on his wheel, silent, steady, letting him burn energy early. He kept glancing back, probably expecting to see me fading in the distance. But I was right there, always right there. When the road tilted upward, his breathing changed. Shorter, louder. He tried to hide it by talking. "You doing okay back there?" "Doing great, Coach, you?" That's when I saw it. The first flicker of doubt in his eyes. I started increasing my pace just a touch. Not enough to pass him, just enough to make him work. Every time he tried to recover, I'd push a little harder. He'd speed up again, and pride wouldn't let him slow down. 5 kilometers in, sweat poured down his temples. 7 kilometers in, he stopped responding to my small talk. I could hear his breathing over the wind. I was in control. Every pedal stroke was deliberate. I wasn't the weak kid anymore. I was the one deciding the pace. When we hit the final 3 kilometers, his face was crimson. His shirt clung to his body, soaked through. He mumbled something about the heavy bike and not being warmed up. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then he said, "You can go ahead if you want, I'll catch up." And that's when I knew I had him. "Nah," I said with a grin. Wouldn't want to leave my coach behind. At the 300-meter mark, I shifted gears, stood up, and let my legs do what they'd been trained to do. Smooth, powerful strokes. The kind of rhythm that feels like flying. Coach tried to follow. I heard him grunt behind me. But then silence. When I looked back at the top, he was a small figure crawling up the final stretch. He dismounted, stumbled to the parking lot, and threw up. Violently. A few students who had come by bus saw the whole thing. And that's when the whispers began. By the time the rest of the class arrived, everyone knew. Coach Miller got destroyed by the weak kid. I didn't celebrate. Didn't brag. Just sat beside him quietly while he tried to regain his composure. He didn't look at me. He couldn't. When the group left for the hike, he stayed behind. Said he needed to rest and hydrate. So I stayed too. We sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken truth. For the first time ever, I wasn't beneath him. We were just 2 people. One broken down, one finally whole. Back at school, the story spread like wildfire. Even teachers whispered about it in the staff room. He never mentioned it again. Never mocked me. Never called anyone slow after that day. In class, he just nodded when he saw me. A faint smile of acknowledgement. But something deeper changed. Not just him, me. For years, I'd believed that being different meant being weak. That not fitting in made me less. But that mountain taught me otherwise. Strength isn't about how fast you sprint. It's about how long you can keep climbing, even when the air gets thin. I'm older now. Haven't seen Coach Miller in over a decade. But sometimes when I'm out cycling and I feel that familiar burn in my legs, I think of him. I wonder if he remembers that day, the way his pride melted into exhaustion. And part of me hopes he does. Not out of cruelty, but because that's how growth works. Sometimes we need to be humbled to become human again. That day didn't just teach him a lesson. It taught me that quiet perseverance is louder than any whistle, and that no matter how small you start, you can always climb your way to dignity. So if someone out there is listening, the kid who gets picked last, the one everyone underestimates, keep climbing. Because one day you'll reach the top, look down, and realize every insult was just another pedal stroke getting you closer to your victory. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Sometimes the quiet ones are just saving their energy for the right moment. And when that moment comes, the world will notice. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories of poetic justice. Comment below with the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories where karma shows up on time. Sometimes riding a bike.